They thought they were building a sacred resting place, but all they did was disturbing something ancient, something that doesn't forgive. The first body came back out of the grave, wrapped, untouched, then the second, then the third, and standing above each open grave was the same man. He said he had no memory, said he was being used, but no one believed him. Not until last night, when the grave bit back. In a quiet European village called Eldermoor, nestled beyond the fog-thick forests of East Wall, there once lived two respected brothers, Victor and Sebastian Varelli. Known for their generosity, they built schools, churches, and gave to the poor. Though they spent much of their time abroad, they never forgot their hometown. One year, they decided to donate land near their estate's private church to create a new graveyard. The existing burial ground was far, too far. When villagers died, their families had to carry bodies over steep hills and muddy paths. The Varellis believed they were solving a problem. But their mother, Matilda, had a dream. In it, a veiled woman appeared at her bedside and whispered, "Don't disturb the soil near the church. Let the dead rest where they are." Matilda warned her sons. They dismissed her. "It's only a dream. We're doing something righteous," they said. The plan moved forward. The land they selected was wild and overgrown. Towering birch trees and a massive old black oak dominated the area. These were cut down. Most of the villagers took firewood for free, but one man, a struggling woodworker named Eric Brandt, bought the black oak at a small price. The night before felling the tree, Eric too had a dream. The same veiled woman appeared, her voice echoing in the wind. "Leave the oak. Don't wake what sleeps beneath." He ignored the warning. The tree was cut. Weeks later, the graveyard was ready. The first burial, an elderly shepherd named Gregor Meyer. The next morning, something strange happened. His body was found lying outside the grave, not torn apart, not disturbed, still wrapped in its burial cloth, placed carefully beside the open earth. There were no claw marks, no signs of animals. It was as if someone had gently exhumed him. The villagers buried him again. The next day, same thing. 3 times this happened. Then it stopped. Gregor's body remained undisturbed until the next burial. Otto Hirsch, a local farmer, died. He was buried in the same graveyard. And again, his body was found outside the grave the very next morning. The Varellis were contacted. Shocked, they offered to fund night guards, 4 brave men, armed, alert, and paid well. But even that didn't work. Each morning, the guards were found asleep, collapsed beside the graves. They couldn't be woken. They claimed they were awake the whole time, until a sweet, overpowering fragrance filled the air. Then, their memories blurred. Whispers, sleep, darkness. Then the body, again, outside the grave. Someone suggested Eric Brandt knew more than he was saying. One night, his wife woke up and found him missing from their locked home. Moments later, she found him unconscious on the porch, his clothes soaked in mud, his back burned. 3 round marks, like iron rods, had been pressed into his skin. When Eric awoke, he finally spoke the truth. He hadn't done it willingly. He explained how each time a burial occurred, he would smell the same sweet scent and hear a voice call to him, "Eric, it's time." He would rise in a trance, walk to the graveyard, dig, and gently remove the body. Then he'd collapse. He had no control, just fragments of memory, like a dream that fades by dawn. The village priest referred him to a local monk, Brother Thomas, who gave him a protective charm and warned, "That black oak was home to something old, something angry. You were warned in dreams because it speaks through them." With the charm, Eric was free. For 2 years, the graveyard remained quiet, until Father Elias, the town's beloved priest, died. He too was buried there. That night, the scent returned. Eric's charm had slipped from his wrist while washing his hands. He vanished from his home. The next morning, villagers found his unconscious body halfway inside Father Elias's grave. His head rested outside the earth, his arms stretched across the ground. Inside the grave, Father Elias's body was untouched. Eric confessed. He had done it again, but not by choice. Someone, something, had called him back. The villagers were horrified. They declared no one else would ever be buried there. Father Elias would be the last soul laid to rest in Eldermoor's new graveyard. The site was sealed, fences erected. The church beside it still stands, abandoned, quiet, as if holding its breath. Years passed. The graveyard was forgotten, until one final death. The village's spiritual guide, Sister Elena, died in her sleep. Despite their promise, they buried her there. She had served the village her whole life. It felt fitting. That night, Eric and his wife both awoke to the sweet fragrance. She looked at his hand, the charm gone again. His eyes glazed. He whispered, "They're calling me." He stood, walked to the door, and vanished into the night. She couldn't move, frozen, trapped in the same haze. The next morning, Sister Elena's grave was untouched, but Eric was found in a shallow hole next to it, alive, barely, his bones crushed, his arms twisted unnaturally, and carved into his chest deep and raw were 3 symbols, unknown to anyone in the village. He never spoke again. He died 3 days later, and since that day, the gate to Eldermoor's graveyard has remained locked. No one enters. No one speaks of the black oak stump that still sits at its center, charred and cracked. But they say, on some nights, when the wind is just right, you can still smell the perfume. And if you do, don't follow it. Years passed. The village of Duskmoor tried to forget what happened near the old chapel. No more bodies were ever laid in that cursed ground. The graves became overgrown. The stone markers, weather-worn and crumbling. Locals whispered, but never allowed. The chapel still stands, empty. The graveyard, untouched. No one dares to step beyond its rusted gate. They say no one has seen Elias since that night. But sometimes, on windless nights, you can hear something scratching under the earth. Software rhythmic, like someone digging. The last body buried there was never the last. Subscribe to Night Realm for more true horror stories from around the world. Stay safe, stay curious, and never ignore your dreams.